Hey everybody, you can all hear me good? If everybody can hear me good, leave me a thumbs up in the comments. Thank you, Jessica. How you doing today, Miss Jessica? Thank you, Patty. I'll give them just a minute here. I think I went live about a minute early. Hey there, Roan Mountain. How are you? I feel you there, Jessica. It's been a nice day out today here. How's your book coming along, Roan Mountain? Making headway? You keep that rain that way, Jessica. We've had too much of that. I'm about sick of rain. It's time consuming researching and trying to get everything straight, no matter what you're doing. Figured I would tell a couple little stories that I heard told as I was growing up, mostly just funny, really. But excuse me, thought you all might like to hear them. They was these two boys back. I don't know. It's been years ago. They was coon hunting, and that sounds good. Leftover meatloaf's always the best. They was a coon hunting, and they was using common lanterns for light. Had a 22 rifle with them. Good evening, John. And they had heard about some a demon, a demon head or a devil head, that would show itself in that area they was hunting it. And I reckon they came up on it. And they said they was going to shoot it. They was shooting with an old single shot 22, and they'd load one, shoot it, and all it would go thud. And it didn't move. Hey, John boy. And they loaded another one, shot at it. It just thud, didn't move. Well, finally they got their nerve up and started going closer to it, and it just started glowing more. It looks like perfect eyes and a mouth, just glowing green. They got up to it, and it was a rotten tree stump full of foxfire, is all it was. You let your mind control your thoughts instead of trying to be rational about stuff. And the same guys one of the same guys, I reckon they was having some kind of a big thing going on at the church. And it lasted late, and he was gonna. He had to go in behind the church to go home to his house, and ran up over the ridge, and he got up through there, and he heard something squawking, squealing, and he just took off running. No lighter than that, went back toward the church and stood on the porch of the church. He cooled down and thought he'd try it again. Well, he eased off again, and he went right back up around the ridge, and sure enough, it went to chirping and a squawking again. Now he turned around and run right back to the church again, stood on the porch there for a while. He done that 2 or 3 times, and he said, I got to go home. I'm going to have to go through there. So I reckon he went around there again. When that thing went to chirping and a squawking again, he just took off running toward home that time. He went out on past it. The next day, him and his brother, when it was daylight, went investigating, and it was 2 trees that growed up together, and the wind would move them, and they would chirp and squeak on each other. I guess if you in the dark like that, you let your mind tell you it was something other than what it really was. How you doing, John Boy? He's sent me a picture of a picture he's drawing for me. I'll tell you what, he's talented. John Boy is. I always thought them was funny little stories. There's another one, funny one. There's a preacher at a church, and I reckon he was an older man, and he had a big long beard, and he was a like a prankster too, and he had messed with one of them 15, 16-year-old boys that had a hard time staying awake, while they was in church, and he had done something other. Now I ain't real positive what he'd done to that boy, but that boy had that they would, how everybody would shake the preacher's hands and all that kind of stuff, and he had found some chicken where a chicken had manured and got it in his hand, and he kept his hand cuffed, and they said that preacher would always sit and rub his beard, and he kept his hand cuffed, trying to keep anybody from shaking his hand as he was making his way into where the preacher was, and he shook the preacher's hand and rubbed that chicken crap, got it in that preacher's hand. He didn't even I don't know how he didn't know it was in his hand, but I reckon he was rubbing his beard as he was preaching. He was smearing that old green and white chicken manure all in his beard. That was a little out there prank, in my opinion, but it was yeah. Wrong Mountain thinks that's who. Yeah, Patty. I got another here I'll share just a little on the darker side. Up in the head of one of these hollers where the holler forked off, and you had a left fork and a right fork. The left fork was the main path where everybody would walk across that ridge and go down. There was a store in that other little community, and everybody on this side of the community had, they'd walk right by there. They'd have to travel that road. They said there was an old woman that lived right beside that, that little road you had to go down, and they said she was just a mean, evil blackguarding woman. She was awful, I reckon. Hey, Crow. Said she was just plumb awful. And, when somebody'd send their kids over to the store due to trading or whatever, if she'd catch them coming a lot of times, they said she would just get out there and taunt them around and just awful. And they said it could be, the hottest part of summer, and she had 2 fireplaces on each side of her shack or house or whatever she lived in, and said in the hottest part of summer, she would always, there was always smoke coming from the chimney. She kept a fire burning 24/7. And it went on, and they just, they just would tell them kids to just try to stay, clear of her the best they could. And so they did, and it went on for years. And one day, some of them was a coming down, and she was laying in her yard. She just took ill somewhere or another, and everybody being neighbors, they tried to help her, and they got her in her house, and got her in her bed, and they could tell that she was toward the end. She was about to meet her end. And it was up about 12 o'clock one night, and they said there was a black cat was up on the rafters. She had open rafters in her ceiling, and they said that black cat come down. I don't know where it come from, and come down the wall and run under her bed. And they said the ones that was in her with her said she looked at them and told them that the devil had just went under her bed. Well, they wasn't sitting around for that. They left her there alone. They cleared out of there, left her there. And it went on the next day or so, and they got to thinking, they're going to have to get her out of there and bury her. They can't leave her in there like that. And so they went in, some of the men folk went in to get her, and they couldn't find her. She was gone. They never did find her. They don't know what happened to her or where she went. She just disappeared. I guess she was so mean that old Lucifer took body and all with him. How you doing, Crow? Trying to make sure I ain't missing anybody. Yep, them. That's good to hear. There's another one. I think I've shared this once before, but it's a funny one too. There's this woman. It was her job when she was a young girl every evening, and to gather the milk cow every evening. That was her job. It was her chore, to gather the cow up. She got out hunting for that cow one evening, and oh yeah, that would have been something. But anyway, she couldn't find it, and she couldn't hear its bell or nothing. They kept a bell around its neck, and she was looking in a holler, and she went down below the house and down, up upside the old wash and different places. And there was a cemetery on up above their place that she didn't like being around it. She just had an eerie feeling there. And she eased on up through her toward that graveyard, and sure enough, she seen the cow up around that graveyard, a picking, So she got her rope and she had a rope with her, and she took it up there, and she got a rope around it and started leading it back down the path. And she seen this man and woman on up ahead of her there, and she thought, well, I'm going to catch up with them so I don't have to walk back off here by myself. So she started, jogging a little bit and had that cow trotting with her. And they heard her, and they looked back, and they started running from her, and she thought they seen something behind her. So they started running, and they run all the way home. She just left the cow. She just run with them, and they run into that house down there, and they all run in the house and shut the door and got to looking. And when they got to talking, they thought that lady was looking, something was at her, and she thought they seen something behind her, so they all took off running. Just another one of them mind games. How you doing, Tails? let your mind. You can easily let your mind control you. Let me read your comment here, John Boy. Hey, I don't mind a bit to pay somebody for their time, John Boy. How you doing, Linda? If anybody didn't, Roan Mountain, we've talked back and forth some. They're writing a book about I've done a little bit of reading about Roan Mountain. I don't know a whole lot about it yet, but I'm kind of interested now in some of the history. I'm going to have to dig into a little bit more. It's good to hear. I'm doing pretty good today myself, Linda. It's been nice here today. That old rain stayed away for a couple of days finally. They was when they was a coal camp that if you may ever heard of bloody flux, I think some people calls it dysentery, but it was real bad during like the Civil War and stuff like this. Unsanitary conditions causes it been nasty really. And gets in your guts. It's bad, and you pass blood, and you can't keep nothing down. You're dehydrated. And I think they said they was just about as much or more people died in the Civil War from it than the fighting. But they was a coal camp here around the 1940s that got a bout of it, and they'd done everything they could do and had a doctor to come in and different things, and wasn't that whole coal company, that whole coal mine was just about shut down because all the men was sick, and they lived, in the company houses, and their families was sick, and they all was using the same water source, and they got a hearing about this Cherokee Indian in La Follette, Tennessee, that was a faith healer, an herbalist, all about herbs, and she was real good about stuff like that, I reckon. And I was a man and his son took a wagon. They was a couple that wasn't sick, and they went and rounded her up. And the next day they come in with her on that wagon. And she checked out a few of them, and she seen real quick. And they said that she took a mattock and a no feed sack, and so they stood and watched her. She went up on the side of the bank and on the hill and stuff, and was digging different things up, and she got some kind of tree bark. And they said that she took and brought that stuff back and built up a fire outside and boiled water and oh yeah, what does that do, Patty? I ain't never heard of burning bay leaves. I've heard of burning sage and stuff. But they said that she went and she made them go to a different place and bring her some water. And she boiled water and sanitized everything, and she made some kind of elixir, I guess what you'd call it. And they said that she took and she started at the end of the camp, and she'd go in and give them just a little bit out of a teaspoon, just a little bit, and said it would just run right through them, and cause them to wash out. And she just done that. Then she would turn back around and she would start again an hour or two later, and she would give them just a little bit more than she did the last time, and it would run right through them, and it was washing that junk out of them, that dysentery, bloody flux is what they called it. And she eventually, cured it, got rid of it out of that coal camp, and they said that the only thing that she took for payment when they took her home was some block house coal. Oh, that's fine. It don't matter what your voice sounds like as long as your heart's in the right place, Roan Mountain. Yeah, there's people that lives right around here that don't talk like I do. Now I've heard of the burning sage for like cleansing. Then also I've heard, Patty, I don't know if you've ever heard anything like this or not, and I've never tried it, but they said that you could put water in like a clear jar or a glass and put salt in it and leave it sitting somewhere in the room, and after a day or two, that water start turning like a brown color. That's negative energy that it's drawing. You ever heard anything like that? My great granddad, my paternal one, uh, they said he was a wart witch, and he could remove warts and goiters, and he could cure like the thrush. They said he would take a piece of thread and roll it up and rub it around on it, and he would say something, you don't know what they say, and he would tell them to put it under a rock under the drip of the house, and when that rock rotted, them warts would go away. But he got throat cancer and couldn't talk. And my papa or none of his brothers, he didn't pass that down to him. They said the day before he died that he wanted some squirrel meat, and my papa went and got him a mess, and my great grandma cooked it for him. They said he put it in his mouth and chewed it a little bit and spit it out and said that'd do him. And he died. He never did pass that on to none of his boys. Yeah, I've heard that about the salt, about putting it in water and letting it, and it would take the negative energy. I've been told that my accent is real thick, Roan Mountain. It's normal to me, but I've been told it was real thick. I want you to look what the cat drug in here. I wonder if it's that same cat that went under Lucy's bed there earlier we was talking about. Look here. Look here. Jared King, the one and only, has rolled in here. And right here's his boss. She's coming here to make sure he stays in line right here. How you doing, Queen and Jared? We're talking about Roan Mountain is writing a book about the Roan Mountain, Jared. You know anything about that? Said that they'd have been over checking some of your videos out today. I'm doing good, but I think you're the legend, Jared. Yeah, we've been here just talking about some of them people that lets their mind play tricks on them, think they're looking at stuff they're not. Some awful good people coming here visiting, ain't they? You have to remind him that you're the legend, right, Queen? It's easy done, ain't it? You get off in the dark like it, and ain't nobody around but you, and the darkness around you, and you can't say nothing. You get to thinking about uh, what you've heard or thought you've seen, and you you start magnetizing. You start magnetizing it in your mind. Part of the story. Roan Mountain is only a part of the story. My family are from Hawkins County, Tennessee, Scott County, Virginia, and North Carolina on the other side of the Rhone. Okay, I'm gonna have to look into that. I've heard of that. I've heard that name, but I really don't. I don't know no history on it. Jared might. He's from Tennessee. I think that's the case with about 95% of us married men. Were directed by the director. Did you catch Myers's premiere yesterday? That is Autumn was getting choked up on like ashes. Boy, that tripped me out. Said it's like just ashes, and they was getting the word lungs and stuff on their little talk box. What are you working on this week? You gonna let us watch, Jared? And I need some. I need something to watch. You got anything going on? Yeah, it's freaky too. That kind of stuff makes me want to turn and go the other way. I believe as many times, Jared, as I've heard you say it, you bound to be running out of bridges. Yeah, Linda, they had a premiere yesterday on one of their investigations, and Autumn was getting, she was about to come down the ground over. You'd hear her in the background on the audio choking, and said it was just like ashes was in her mouth and down her neck and stuff. It's pretty freaky. I hear that. Can't wait to see that. I've been editing everything from the King Fest, and the couple pics I got you, Johnny, are messed up. In one of them, you have two faces and bodies. Well, wonder what went on with that camera. I broke somebody's camera. You're wrong, mate. Like I said, I'm gonna have to do a little reading about that. You've got me interested in that. Autumn needs to carry amethyst with her. What is that like? Just like some kind of, for lack of a better term, it's like some kind of repellent stuff, or what is it, Patty? Hey, Sage. If you look there, Jared, we bound to be. We put off bad energy for around one another. It must just be magnified. It's kind of what I'm picking up. Okay, I had never heard of it, Jessica. Learn something new every day. Hey, Beth, how you doing? Lord, that's what it was. Us together messed them up. Yeah. Yeah, if I'm around and you want to be taking pictures, make sure you got one of them old cheap disposable cameras. This lobs the more springs and stuff that go flying out. Bush shore's been pretty today. I tell you what, I'm thankful for that. I'm just about depressed with all the bad weather we've been having here lately. It seems like it's just unusually storming and raining, and just I know this is that time of year, but it seems like it's just unusually a lot compared to other years. I told Jessica, she said it'd been raining down there. I told her she'd keep that for a day or two. I've had enough of that. They shouldn't be nothing said on the about the river being below normal and all that stuff. It's we've had a lot of rain. You get I don't get scared too bad, but when it's something like it, something I can't see, I don't like hanging around too much. Hear that, Jessica? You around close to where the water gets, or you up away from it? Last year it ain't been too many months ago here in Kentucky. You've heard the 606. That's the area code. I'm in the 606 area code, and there was a bad flood come out of up farther above me. It's washing coming out of them hollers and washing people's houses down the creeks, and there's a lot of people passed away. And there was this woman. She had a double wide trailer. Wasn't too old. It was by the creek and the road, and it worst it. They had her on the news, on the what them big time news media's. She had that it worst that picked that double wide up. She said that she could feel the floors bubbling, and it was just her and her two kids, and she got scared. The water takes them. I mean, it was sad to hear her talk. That if something happened, they wouldn't be able to find them because they'd be separated. And she cut the cord off her extension cord and tied them all three together. And she said she could look out that trailer took off, and she felt it hit something, and it went across the road into the bank, and she could see a little bit of the road, and she heard that bank coming in, and she got afraid that that bank was going to come off and bury them. So she braved it and got her and them kids out, and they they made it. But she was smart, I guess, doing that. There was some sad stories that come out of that. Then I guess you can just hear to that. It wasn't too long ago. It was a bad flood, flash floods come out of them. It rained. I forget how many hours they said it rained. It like 11 hours of just steady, this hard rain. they was these this I forget, she was 90 something year old, this little old woman was. They had was trying to get help, and it was from her grandkids, and they was up in their 50s, I guess, 60s, or her kids and her grandkids. They was older too, and the water was raising fast, and they had videos of that they took on their cell phones, and that little old woman, little bitty thing, sitting in that bed, and that water was up in her bed with her. Well, I mean, they was out of options, and somebody got them on a video. They come out of that house, and you could see the top of the house still, and they got their grandma or mommy on a mattress, and it would float, and you could watch it. You can get on YouTube and watch this stuff now. And they floated her to safety, got her out of that house, and they was hanging on that mattress, and used it for a raft and saved that little old lady. Hey, Darrell, how you doing? There was a lot of people come together in Kentucky and different states around, for that. There's a lot of people lost their homes. There was a family. I don't even really want to bring that up on here. You just can look it up. It was awful. What a lot of them went through. But they had people, Chris Stapleton, the Tyler Childers, them singers. They're from up in there around up in that area, Whitesburg, and that's up above me a little bit farther. But they was part of the crew. They was volunteering their time, and helping clean up stuff. Thought that was pretty cool. Up around Loretta Lynn country, Johnson County, and them places, Van Leer, Martin County, in that area. Yeah, that's right, there. It was that one I was thinking about there. It was just too sad, what went on there. You take care, Beth. Miss, I'm gonna go through here and make sure somebody said something to me and I've missed it. I get to talking and lose the chat. I hear that. They say ain't nothing to fear but fear itself. But I believe that. But I believe also, it's all right to fear something you can't see. Did you get a day off work today, Mr. Jared Keene? Yeah, I believe that. There's a lot of wherever there's good going on, there's always some kind of bad spirit around trying to make it bad. I tell you what, snakes where I live at, rattlesnakes and copperheads is they're as plentiful here as black snakes is in most places. They're bad. I'm hearing you getting some overtime yesterday. Yeah, I believe that too, Patty. But there's wherever there's a good spirit, there's a bad one lurking around trying to make a gom out of it. Yeah, I told you earlier that old Jared, you'd like him. Check him out there. He's got some good stories uh, on his channel. He's a good feller too. Laura might, his wife or Queen Laura might say different, but I believe he's all right guy. I keep my grass mowed where you can see them before you get to them, Queen. I like my grass to be short. I don't know, Jared. You ever notice you can work overtime like that, and you check it'll be about $10 more than it normally is, but you can miss today and it's about $300 shorter. Seems like I don't understand that. Something don't add up somewhere, does it? If she agreed with you all the time, it'd be a boring marriage, wasn't it, Jared? No, no, that's the truth. Uh, it's just a few dollars better if you did work, and it's about $300. Well, I mean, depending on, I wouldn't say $300, but it's like you missed a half a week. Seems like if you miss one day. Right now, yeah, I reckon you're gonna be stopping by here and you're doing Appalachian tour. She's gonna wee, ain't she, Jared? I mean, she's gonna stay behind, is she? I seen this thing on, it might have been Facebook. This man and his wife was arguing about something. I don't remember now what it said. And his wife said, "Why are you all time arguing with me?" He said, "Well, if I agreed with you, we'd both be wrong." Pretty much sounds up about every marriage, don't it? My wife's scared of snakes too. Spiders. She's anything screaming. I mean, she see a spider and it sounds like somebody's getting murdered. She growed up a little different than I did. Still, I don't even pay no attention to that stuff. They really don't bother me, Jared. I don't want them crawling around on me, but now I don't go into convulsions and need an oxygen tank or anything like that when I do see one. But I don't like them on me. About you, Jessica? You like snakes or spiders or anything? Now, I don't. I don't think I would want one as a pet. You know, these people keeps them right in their house in them fish tanks. Now, I don't think I would care a whole lot for that. It'd be in my mind all the time. That thing's going to get out of there, or somebody's going to knock it over and whatever, and it get out. Okay, we had them big old blood spiders huge size of your hand and fuzzy and would crawl on you. Scared me. Yeah, I don't like them crawling around on me now, but you know, I got one tattoo, and you can barely see it. I really ain't got no tattoos. Just I got one. It was a memorandum tattoo somebody done. You know, memory of my dad, but it's gonna have to be done by somebody that knows what they're doing and fixed. It's been on there a long time. I got an aunt that loves frogs. Their house is it's got frog whatnots and different things like kind of like gnomes. She's got some that's that size. Mine, the ink. You're gonna laugh at me, but the ink that mine's made out of is chimney soot and soap. That's what was used for the ink, like shampoo soap and chimney soot. I'm the one that has to kill spiders down at the cabin. It was always a battle. The blood spiders was as big as Muhammad Ali. The other I scooped up my cat so fast those gopher snakes make her rattle like a rattlesnake. What I thought they were right in the driveway. Mine was cigarette ashes and ink pen. Well, I'll probably go ahead and cut this off here. I seen where some of you is wanting to join Rochelle's premiere, and I don't want to interfere with that. I need to go outside and get a little bit more mowing done anyway. Well, I got about an hour of daylight left. But I'll try to do this again Tuesday. I'm gonna try to do something every Tuesday about 7 o'clock, if the good Lord willing, and lets us. Anyway, appreciate you for coming in, Patty. We told a few little stories and visited and sat a while, whatever you want to call it. Pulled up a chair. Hope you got a little life out of that. Yeah, I'm glad you come in here too, Ron. I'm glad you checked Jared out too, and he's your check out the Patty or the Southern Clairvoyant. She's got 2 channels, and she's got some good recipes. You check her out, and Jessica, check her out. Queen, she goes live too. Jared, he goes live. You ever go back and watch some of them game shows that Queen had? But I check them all out. They're pretty good people. And Ron, this is their first time in here on a live. Yeah, she checked you out, I think, Jared. watch some of your stuff. They did. They're writing a book, if you didn't hear me before. But everybody, I'm going to go ahead and cut this off so they can bounce over and check Rochelle out. And like I say, every Tuesday, if the good Lord willing, about 7 o'clock Eastern time is my time. So I think a lot of you on here is an hour behind me, but I'm Eastern time. And but you all take care and have you a good and God bless you and stay safe. Help your neighbor, whatever it is you need to do. And I'll catch you. Guess I'll catch you on Jared's live tomorrow. But I'm gonna go ahead and end this one. Let's have you a good one.